Obviously, the huge news from this game one win. Well, first of all, good to see everyone. The huge news is the Warriors just snuck one out. Not only snuck it out, dominated the Minnesota Timberwolves in this game. But the bigger news, Steph Curry leaves with a hamstring. Obviously, that is huge. Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, just the Golden State Warriors in general. Standing ovation on tonight's Locked On Dub.
You are Locked On Warriors.
Stop trying to turn the page on us so fast.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
We got 4 championships.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Every team has a chance if Steph's on the team.
Your team every day.
I'm conflicted right now. Like, do you smile? Do you frown? I mean, after a game one win, you 1,000% smile, but a little concern with Steph Curry and a hamstring. I Googled it, and I'm not a doctor. It said it could be days, it could be months in terms of a typical hamstring. Let's hope on the bottom end of that. This is Locked On Warriors. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly of 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. That's the flagship station of your Golden State Warriors. Also covered the team for CBS News Bay Area, call letters KPIX. And as you can tell, this show is live. It comes to you live on YouTube after every single game, preseason included. Welcome to the show. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up. You can also catch us wherever you get your audio podcast on the go. Just Google Locked On Warriors. Matt Kolsky, the co-host tonight. He's formerly of KNBR, formerly of 95.7 The Game, and we have a ton to talk about. Steph Curry injured. We got a new little Batman and Robin forming. Let me explain. This was such a needed win, especially with the wobbly legs, man. You only got 48 hours to think this thing over and to heal up. The Wolves had some time, but they came out rusty because of it. Warriors defense continues to be outstanding. It is the best in the league since Jimmy Butler has joined this team, and it is for sure their calling card. It's a big reason why they hung on today. Draymond Green had himself a day. But we start with the huge news that is Steph Curry leaving the game in the second quarter, actually made some plays, hit a three, got injured right after that, tweaked something, and then hits a little floater, feels it a little bit, goes down the floor, immediately calls for Steve Kerr and says, hey, I need a sub right now. Plays it out for the next 40 seconds or whatever until a Warrior knocked down a three. Warriors went up 10 at that point. I believe it was Draymond who knocked down the three. He had four of them early.
Twice.
Yes, he had four of them early in the first half for 18 points. Buddy Hield, such a storyline. But Steph Curry, man, hamstrings, when you hear it this time of the year, what typically comes to mind?
Oh, man. I don't even want to say what typically comes to mind. Anyone who recognizes the emblem on my sweatshirt will know that I've had some recent bad experience with hamstrings. It's just really tough. It's really tough because straining hamstring and calf muscles, they are notoriously finicky, and they are notoriously easy to injure worse if you rush back. So,
and that's why game one is so damn huge, man. You were able to hold them off. You showed the defensive card, and now you steal home court advantage. Even if you give up game two, let's say Curry misses three more, the split in the Bay Area, potentially 2-2. I mean, we're thinking way too far ahead. He may be back in the game. Who knows? We'll wait for the official word. But that's terrifying, man, when it happens at this stage with how well he was playing and looked like he was really going to cook. Really going to cook the Wolves tonight.
Yeah. Steph came out looking like it was going to be one of those nights, and you're thinking that's how we can win this game is by Steph going nuts. As far as, look, I don't want to speculate at all. We have no idea how serious it is, but I would say count him out for game two because honestly, like with a soft tissue injury like that, even if he's feeling great on Thursday, just like you got one in Minnesota, I'm gonna rest it another night. So I think there's almost no chance he plays Thursday. If it's a really minor thing, maybe you do see him again by Saturday. Who knows? But there's no question that after you saw him go down, getting this game in the win column was sort of, you had to have it. You absolutely had to win this game. And
with how bad Minnesota was shooting, they started 0 of 16 from 3. Minnesota did. Warriors were hitting threes. The differential from 3-point land in this game, I mean, do the math. That's 54 for Golden State on 18 made threes. And then on the other side, 54-15 in that department. Minnesota shoots the ball well. They're top 5 in the league in 3-point percentage.
Yes. So that's likely not going to happen again. But when you get something like that, that's basically a gift against a team like the Wolves.
You need 4 of these, man. You need 4 of them. You got 1.
You got to take advantage. And so tonight, again, like just a huge win. And boy, Buddy Hield, what can you say about this guy?
Oh, my God.
These are back-to-back games in the biggest moments of the season where a guy who
November
couldn't get
Buddy
on the floor for the 76ers in the playoffs last season. What can you say? Absolutely giant testes clutch. Just
defense too.
He's
Defense
doing,
too, man.
he's
It's
doing
all around. He did it off the dribble tonight. He finished in traffic. He was so damn good. How? I don't understand it. How?
He was just awesome. And look, you got the full Buddy experience tonight because he was pretty terrible in the first half. But who cares? Because when they needed somebody to put the ball in the basket, I mean, the second half, the entire second half, the Warriors were just looking for anything they could get scoring-wise.
They went to Spencer. They went to Kuminga. They went to Braxton Key for some minutes. Steve Kerr went to everyone.
Yes, and just the fact that he gave Kuminga a reasonable amount of run tells you how desperate he was for somebody to put the ball in the basket. And in the end, it was Buddy and Jimmy. I mean, 36 of the 55 in the second half from Buddy and Jimmy. And for him to give you a 22-point half when Steph is not available. I mean, look, I kind of still feel like with Buddy, it's not really about the situation. It's just about whether he's hot, right?
And confident. I think confidence in life is so damn big. And he's one of those guys that when he's feeling it, he's feeling it. And that can last for weeks at a time.
It can last for weeks, and it can go away at any moment, and it can come back at any moment, right? And that's what we've learned about Buddy. I don't know that it's like, because Steph's out, he stepped up. But the fact that he's capable of doing that, huge. Having a half where he virtually carries you on the offensive
16
end.
16 in the third. 16.
Incredible. 16. Incredible stuff. And down the roster, everybody did things tonight.
It takes a village, man. Yeah.
I mean, Kuminga hit a big three. Not, look, he still looks uncomfortable out there. I don't know that you're going to fix that at this point. But if he can come in and chip in a little, and he did that tonight, you'll take it.
The cut, too.
Looney,
I mean, don't take away that cut, man.
Yep.
He instead of camping out by the 3-point line, he recognized
that jump ball.
He did that back-to-back possessions to where it's like, all right, JK, like, way to go. And you're right. It was everyone. But I want to stay with Buddy for a second, because we glossed over 8 minutes into the show that Buddy started this game with a horrible omen. I mean, he put his shorts on, not backwards. He put on the wrong shorts and got called out for it by the bench of those Minnesota Timberwolves. And there was a delay of game because he had to go back to the locker room and get the right shorts. And then he goes out and has 16 in the third. I mean, this is a 30 for 30 in the making, folks. We got Batman and Robin. This is not the George Clooney and Chris O'Connell version. It's better than that. It's Jimmy Butler turning into Batman, because that's who he is. He's a superstar himself. He can be a number one on a really good team. We've seen it many times. And it's Buddy Hield all of a sudden going from Alfred, like, hey, Jimmy, you mind if I be?
Oh, I think Chuck's internet broke up just a little bit, but yeah, somehow tonight,
live right now,
Buddy Hield somehow tonight approximated Steph Curry for a half, and that is going to help. That is really going to help. Why is someone yelling at me saying that I want to trade Buddy? What? Where did that come from? Look, man, the guy has been incredible.
Here's the thing. Let's give him his flowers for what he did early in the season, because let's not forget that the Warriors were just a couple games away from potentially, having to play the Oklahoma City Thunder in that 8-spot game. And I mean, Buddy gave you wins at the beginning of the season that put you in a position to feel comfortable to go for it. They were 25-26 when they went for Jimmy Butler. And a lot of those wins at the beginning of the 12-3 start to the season were solely due to Buddy Hield coming in and just changing games with 6-7 3-pointers. And then he went ice cold. I'm talking wintertime. If you were not watching a ton of Warriors, if you're a Wolves fan, I'm talking what's cooler than being cool, ice cold. He couldn't hit anything. The defense was a little bit sluggish, but man, he's picked it up and he's become really complete as of late. Still give you a Buddy Hield experience from time to time, but you can rely on him in playoff games. And we've never been able to say that about Buddy Hield in his previous he only had 4 opportunities.
Well, yeah, he didn't have a lot of opportunity, but it's noteworthy that like the Sixers didn't think he was playoff worthy. And I think he has put that to bed for all time. And that's a great point from Kevin too. Like, again, the Buddy experience it's wacky, man. He's gonna have nights where he can't hit the broadside of the barn. Every now and then he's gonna come out in the wrong shorts. He's going to have jokes, whether it's a win or a loss, whether he made everything or made nothing. But there's still a finite list of dudes who are even capable of doing the thing that he can do when it's going well. So you got to appreciate it when it happens. And there's going to be a night where you want him to go off, and he's terrible. Because, again, if he did this every night, he'd be Steph Curry. But you really needed it tonight. You really needed this win. And in the biggest possible moment for the second straight game, Buddy Hield came through. So you can't do anything but give that man credit.
The update per the chat, and this is why we thank everyone for tuning in live on the postgame shows and why we do it live. We get to give the update to the people. Day-to-day for Steph Curry, MRI tomorrow. Per Dr. Kolsky, he says no chance. Kolsky's like 0 for his last 4 when it comes to, hey, the Warriors.
You're breaking up again, Chuck, but you're not wrong.
Stream is not cutting out left and right on everyone.
For what it's worth, Anthony Slater had this to say on Twitter. Steve Kerr says Warriors are operating under assumption Steph Curry will miss game 2 at least. But they're calling him day-to-day with a hamstring strain. There's an MRI tomorrow for further update. Kerr said Curry was, quote, crushed about the injury. So not great news, but could have been worse.
Could be worse. You got to win, man. You got to win. Could be worse.
You got a W, and they didn't
and
say
you stole it tonight. And you stole it tonight. We thought coming in that the Warriors with the tired legs and the Wolves fresh, coming off some momentum, would it would be a tall task in game 1, and it wasn't really that tall. You dominated this game up 20.
Hold on.
It got a little close late.
It was pretty tall. And we're
going to talk about it coming up on Locked On Warriors, the tall task that was, according to Kolsky. I saw it skating to a victory. And we're going to give a shout out to Steve Kerr, who played 12 players tonight and did ruin the scouting report of the Wolves. Thank you very much, Zoldy. Back to the show coming up. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at OpenPhone. Let me tell you a little bit about our sponsors over at OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. Life's busy and you don't have time to wait for one service provider. That's why you need OpenPhone. It's the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or your computer. OpenPhone lets me manage business calls and text from a single app. The shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat, and their AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering my listeners, our listeners, the Locked On Warriors Nation, 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Let's get back to the show. The game went as such. First quarter was not a thing of beauty whatsoever. It was 20-18 in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Some of the notes that I had written down, and feel free to respond after I go on my diatribe here, Kolsky, but I put that the Warriors and Curry specifically were getting much easier look than that game against the Rockets. It truly felt like. I could feel the non-factor of Amin Thompson not on Curry. It just felt like he was getting good looks. He got 9 shots early, hit 5 of them, got to the rim, had multiple open threes that you would not typically see in the first half against the Rockets. So that was something that stood out early. I was terrified of Anthony Edwards, but he did not play good basketball, nor did the entire Wolves team. When you're 0 of your first 16 from 3, that's going to happen. But it was ugly. I mean, the Warriors missed 11 of 12 around when Steph went to the bench for the first time. Fortunately, the defense was outstanding. Minnesota did not help themselves. It was the bend but don't break defense again, where the Wolves got it inside many times, specifically Anthony Edwards close to the rim. Draymond, Looney, whoever it was there to affect shots around the rim. Gobert too early. And it just felt like Minnesota was getting nothing easy. They were turning it over. On the other side, the Warriors were turning it over. It was a little bit sloppy. But Minnesota scored 11 points in the second quarter. They had 31 at halftime of this game. Golden State had the 26 points in the second. I mentioned a lot of them were after Curry got hurt, or around when Curry got hurt. Draymond hitting threes. That was huge. 18 points, and he had a lot of them early in the game. And then it was the second half after the 17-0 Warriors run that gave them a huge lead, as much as 23. A second half that featured the Wolves getting it to 13. And then Jimmy Butler banks in a 30-footer. It's back to 16. And then it's down to 13 again. And then it's Buddy Hield off a pass from Butler, knocking down a 3, and then knocking down another 3, and then taking one to the rack. It's back up to 20. And you felt pretty comfortable. I set up the podcast equipment for about 90 seconds. The Warriors had gone up 14. Kevon Looney had really changed the game. There was about 3 minutes to go. It felt like it was over. I come downstairs with about 2 minutes to go. It was down to a 9-point game. I was truly never scared, but you watched those 2 extra minutes that I did not see. How scary did it get in your mind?
I mean, I think, like you said, 9, maybe 8 was the closest they got. So it wasn't ever totally terrifying, but
you were waiting for the clock to run out. That's for sure.
Yeah, it did feel like if they continued to play much longer, the Warriors were bound to collapse, because you could see it. I mean, Jimmy was not totally himself by the end of this game. He was not really looking to shoot in a situation where you probably would have expected him to be a little more aggressive in that respect, but he still managed to get it done. I mean, in so many ways, tonight is a story about a Warriors team that could not have been more up against it circumstantially, right? They're coming off a brutally tough game 7. I think the Wolves defense is pretty tough too, but there's no doubt getting away from Amin Thompson is a win for Steph Curry, right? I mean, everybody can agree on that. As a team, the shot still wasn't super falling, especially in the first half. I mean, 31% from the field in the first quarter, under 40 for the first half. So it's not like it was easy. It was a struggle. Steph goes down, Buddy's 0 for the first half. Jimmy doesn't look totally spry. Draymond saved you by hitting 4 threes in the first half, really, right? I mean, that was what gave the Warriors the substantial halftime lead.
Yeah, with the defense, the way it was playing, because I texted you and you were like, oh my God, what just happened? I said, easy now. They can win here. And you said the 7-game series, and I said, one at a time, Kolsky. Come on. Eyes in front of you. This way, baby.
Yes.
And the reason I said that, I had to explain it. I'm like, look, 12 points is nothing in the NBA. We know this. It flips in 2 seconds. But in the playoffs, with the way the Warriors have defended, I truly think that maybe they can hang on to this 12-point lead. They built to that 12-point lead for many times. They had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We saw that in the comment from someone. Pat Spencer with the hook shot. He gave you some good minutes, and that you held the Timberwolves to 88 points in the game. You held Julius Randle to 4 of 11. You held Conley didn't score a bucket. You held Anthony Edwards to 9 of 22, but he struggled early before he picked it up late. Naz Reid was their best player, 8 of 14 with 19 points. And then Gobert, I love Stan Van Gundy, ladies. Like, give it to Gobert every possession. That needs to be their offense. And then the Warriors realized it. They put in Kevon Looney, and that was the end of Rudy Gobert.
Looney tonight was, I mean, he was what he always is.
Chef's
Kevon
kiss.
Looney is, I texted
Stalwart.
you this.
Yeah.
Kevon Looney is just always Kevon Looney. You can count on it. He's going to do the things he does. That includes rebounding the hell out of the ball, bumping into guys when necessary, the occasional shove, not in a, unsportsmanlike way, just in the heat of the moment, playing ball. And he was huge tonight. He's absolutely huge. A couple of gigantic offensive rebounds, a couple of big defensive plays, even had a couple points, I believe.
Can we bring this up? Because O'Brien says it best, extend Looney is what I think they're trying to say.
How do you mean?
And I mentioned this many times. There were points in the season where it felt like when we were just talking trades, like how are the Warriors going to get Jimmy Butler? How are they going to get, we brought up the name like Vucevic, and people are seriously talking about throwing Looney into one of these deals. It's just kind of like have Looney. He's an expiring contract. Like, we'll make the money work, like throw him in there. And it just feels like whenever the Warriors get into that position where size becomes an issue. I mean, we saw it years ago when they won the championship against Memphis and, quite frankly, Steven Adams. Like, the Warriors throw in Looney, and he kind of was able to pick it up, and the Dubs dominated that game 6 on the glass. Then when Sabonis started going off the next year, it's Looney again, grabbing 20 rebounds, and he's not that same player, I don't think.
Oh.
There was a point in the season where it was him and Trace Jackson-Davis, or maybe him and Kyle Anderson, I believe it was, that went to the bench. Like, Kerr was like, we can't keep playing this 13-man strength and numbers rotation. We got to bring it down to like 11, something a little more reasonable. We like Lindy Waters. I'm crying in the locker room right now because I hate seeing Kevon not on this team. Remember, that was like a storyline. Like, Looney's such a big part, and he's accepted his role going to the bench. And here you see it again, time and time again. Like, Kevon Looney is still young. He's got an old soul. He's got an old man's game, and he helps this team win, man. He helps them win. I said unsung hero last game. Again, he comes in today, and it's unsung. They're not talking about Kevon Looney on SportsCenter. I promise you.
Yeah, probably not. But everyone who's a Warriors fan knows who Kevon Looney is. There's no doubt about who.
But we
Kevon
forget
Looney
during
is.
the regular season. We forget.
I don't know, man. I never forget who Kevon Looney is. Maybe you forget, but
Kolsky, I've heard you say at least 15 times on this show, you got to get Looney out of there. You got to put in post or whoever it may be.
Because sometimes
it's
you need-
situational. Every game.
yeah,
different,
because
right? Every game
sometimes
has
you do
energy.
need to get Looney out of there. Like, he is like so many of the players on this team right now. He's limited in very specific ways, but they needed what he does tonight. And when they need what he does, I can't think of him not coming through.
Mr. Reliable.
I can't imagine a time when they would call on Kevon Looney to do what Kevon Looney does, and he wouldn't do it. Like, yes, if you need somebody to stretch the floor and knock down threes, you got to put in Quinn and post, right? If you want to run, you got to play a small lineup. But if you need somebody to bang and to get offensive rebounds and to make it tough on the other guy's big man, honestly, Kevon Looney's pretty much the dude on this team to do that. Obviously, Draymond does his thing, but like, when you need that big, tough dude, they go to Kevon Looney, and Kevon Looney is always ready and always does the job. I love that guy. Plus, one time I saw him eating at Rudy's Can't Fail in Emeryville, and I respect anybody that eats at Rudy's in Emeryville.
You just randomly ran into him out there?
Yeah, he was just having lunch one day, The life of an itinerant sports radio host, you're often just hanging around at
I did
lunch places in the middle of the day.
Back when I was at KPIX, I did a story. It was like during the game, for whatever reason, in local TV, they give you the 6:00 sportscast. And in Boston, it was like 8:00. So the game had already 9:00. It's Eastern time. So the game had already started. And it's like nearing halftime of the game. It's, game 4 where Curry's going off for like 18 points, and I'm outside trying to watch the box score on my phone as Celtics fans are flicking cigarettes at me and talking a bunch of smack to the point where I had to take my mic flag off. They're crazy fans out there. And we did a story where I walked around and just asked a bunch of people in Celtics gear who the Warriors starting center was. And I swear to you, I got an Andrew Wiggins from some dude. I'm like, that guy doesn't know ball. I got a bunch of I don't knows. I got one Kevon Looney. Looney from some dude that knew ball a little bit. I'm like, it's Kevon. And I got 19 other dudes that shrug their shoulders and they're like, I have no idea. That is when you know. Like, you're just an unsung player that true Dubs fans know can get the job done and does it again tonight. Let's talk more about this game.
National profile is low. National profile low.
Amen. He sits back in the weeds, and when Steve Kerr calls his number, he's ready. And that's what the Warriors did in general tonight. It takes a village, and almost all the villagers stepped up. We're going to go through some of the highs, some of the lows, and there were not many lows in the Warriors' 11-point win. 1-0 series as we await this MRI on Steph Curry's hammy. Let's talk some more about it. Locked on Dubs. It's coming up. All right, man. So some of the individual performances from the Dubs tonight: 18 from Green, 20 from Butler, 13 from Curry in his 13 minutes. Let's not gloss over the fact that he was so damn good early.
It was his flurry that put them up big.
Mm-hmm.
Like early on, the defense was great, but they couldn't score. And it was Steph's flurry early second quarter that put them in a double-digit lead that they, pretty much held for the rest of the way.
Yep, part of a 17-0 run. Buddy Hield led the way with 24. Played 40 minutes in the game today. Played all 82 games this season. 40 minutes today. Let's give him his flowers again. Let's just do it every single segment, because Buddy Hield has turned himself into someone that legit halfway through the season, the fan base was just kind of like, this isn't working. Like, Buddy's not playing great. We have him signed for how many more years? Like, he's the last of the Warriors remaining when it comes to the contract situation. He's got some player options in there, so he's going to be a Dub for a while. And for a large portion of the season, you truly wondered. You're like, what does Steve Kerr see in Buddy Hield on a night-to-night basis, to where if he's not hitting shots, you leave him in the game? And this was one of those performances where maybe earlier in the season, we would have said 15 minutes in, let's get Buddy out and let's try someone else, With the way that he's played defensively and with the lack of turnovers, he had 0 turnovers in 40 minutes. 3 assists, 8 rebounds, 24 points, 5 threes, 5 of 5 from the stripe, 0 freaking turnovers. Like, Buddy Hield is becoming a Warriors legend in front of our eyes if he can keep this up. And, even if he can't, if the Warriors can make a run and win this thing, like, you're pointing to Buddy Hield as a massive contributor in all this.
He's minted. You go
that quick,
dude. You go nuclear in a game 7, and then follow it up to. They had to be huge underdogs tonight. I didn't look at the line, but I guarantee. I think it was -6. They said. I don't know what the
5.5.
Yeah, but I don't know what the
points, Vegas.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Right. Buddy, legend is strong, I guess, but those 2 games alone, that is an epic playoff run during Steph Curry's career. Like, you're never gonna forget that. Now, again, I don't expect 4 more of those this series, but that's okay. Like, that's who Buddy Hield is. And if you can get 1 or 2 more of those, look, man, provided Steph Curry is not out, I certainly feel better about the Warriors' chances right now than I did yesterday. And
we never felt bad, Kolsky.
I never felt
bad
terrible
on the show. Come on now.
No, I gave them a chance. Like, I don't think I made a prediction. If you had made me do it, I probably would have said Wolves in 7. But I certainly never thought the Warriors had no chance. I gotta say, tonight was super encouraging, other than Steph going down, because obviously, like, that's everything. You need Steph
Yeah.
Curry.
Yeah. And the Wolves aren't
and
going to shoot like that. They're not
exactly.
going to go 5 at 29, but at the same time, you turned them over 16 times. That's something that,
And they were a very
that can
low
travel.
turnover team during the season, so that was Warriors defense tonight. Jimmy made a lot of good plays defensively. Draymond was an absolute terror. And
Dude, and the Wolves are only playing 8 guys.
think,
They had to go to Terrence Shannon as their 9th. He's not playing a ton. He went 2 minutes. Warriors can run 10, 11 at you, whatever. I mean, don't underestimate that.
No, that helps. I will say that you're still getting the same minutes out of the Warriors bench, because Nas and Dante play big minutes. And they're very good. But the Warriors defense, look, this is a toss-up series to me at this point. And it all really hangs on what happens with Steph Curry. But if you get Steph Curry back at least by game 4, I think if you don't get him back by game 4, it's going to get really, really tough. But, man, or at least let's say game 5, because they could take one at home. Nope, they could definitely take one at home without Steph Curry. I would not be super surprised to see this series even.
Why are we already looking ahead to game 5, though? I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance game 3.
Yeah, there's a chance of anything. I would just, again, caution against bringing a guy back quick with a bad hamstring. And
we trust Celebrini.
Yeah,
he's gonna do the right thing.
Hopefully, but again, it's not a 100% science what Celebrini does, right? I mean, I never believed they did anything medically irresponsible with Kevin Durant, but you come back a little quick with a muscle strain, and it's easy to get bigger injuries, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and look,
if you win game 2 because we know Curry's not playing game 2, if you win game 2 to go back to the Bay, I mean, you're feeling peachy. You're feeling good.
Man, if they win game 2 without Steph Curry, like, forget everything I said, because I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. And Todd's right. This was a great win. And you did it for 2.5 quarters with no Steph. You did it without having a giant scoring game on offense. You're not going to get Dante, Edwards, and Randall all having brutal offensive games again. I don't think. I do believe in the Warriors defense, but like, those guys haven't had bad games like that together for a while. This Timberwolves team has been playing like one of the better teams in basketball since before the playoffs started. And they've got a guy in Anthony Edwards who, even on a bad night tonight, worked himself into a pretty impressive performance, right? So it's not going to be easy. And God bless Warrior fans who think it will be after tonight. If I'm wrong, great. But I still think it's an uphill climb, particularly with the Steph situation. At the end of the day, results are the results, and they're up 1-0 on the opponent's floor.
Boom.
That's what it is.
And I hate to do the whole schedule thing, but I do go back to who the Wolves were beating later in the season. And granted, Detroit's, Denver's, at Memphis, whatever, a play-in team. But there were a lot of San Antonios and Utahs and Charlottes and Miamis and Philadelphia a couple times in there and Phoenix a couple times in there. Like, let's not forget the Warriors have played this team early without Jimmy Butler. And granted, the Wolves hadn't incorporated Julius Randle yet, and they clearly played better basketball. The eye test does matter. I'm just saying that a lot of people are sleeping on this Warriors team. I said Dubs in 6. Regardless of the injury status, I'm sticking with Dubs in 6. I think they're the better basketball team. I look at Jimmy Dre, and even without Steph, the way Buddy's playing right now, some of the villagers that just know their role. Look, Steve Kerr can coach, man. I truly believe that.
Tonight
can
was a
coach.
great Kerr night, and I've
Great
never
Kerr
said
night.
Steve Kerr can't coach. So
He
let's
makes
not
some head
put.
scratching moves. I mean,
I've
whatever.
I've
It's
disagreed
basketball.
with his handling of one particular player, and every time I bring it up, I specifically make the point that I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time and a hands down Hall of Famer. So anyone who's trying to suggest that I am saying Steve Kerr can't coach is just completely full of it.
Clip it.
Tonight he
said
was
it.
great. Tonight he nailed it.
Good stuff. Kolsky, you're on the postcast for a minute. Did I hear that correct?
Yeah. Find me on the Warriors postcast the next 2 games, Thursday and Saturday, and then I'll be back with you next week, my friend.
There's a lot of the faithful in the comments that go one way or the other, whether it's their Kolsky fans or Chuck fans. So this is your invitation to join Kolsky's private studio.
That's silly, man. It doesn't work without both of us, Chuck.
Teamwork makes the dream work, man. That's what we do.
Right.
And that's what the Warriors did. Again, it takes a village, baby.
All right, Nurse Paul. All right. You got it. Yeah, I did. I did it.
Peace, everyone.
Good night.